The night was loud inside a small roadside bar, filled with music, laughter, and the clink of glasses. At the center of it all was Anna, a humble young waitress working late shifts to support her younger brother. She smiled through the noise, hiding the exhaustion and struggle beneath. But that night, when a group of rough bikers entered, everything changed, and one shocking moment revealed a truth that no one in the room expected. The bar was buzzing with the usual Friday night crowd, truckers swapping stories, locals unwinding after a long week, and the jukebox humming a country tune in the corner. Through the haze of chatter and laughter, Anna moved gracefully from table to table, her tray balanced carefully in her hands. To most people, she was just a waitress, another face behind a uniform, another smile serving up beers and burgers. But those who looked closer noticed something different about her. Anna wasn't just polite, she radiated warmth. She remembered names, asked about families, and had a way of making even the loneliest customer feel like they belonged. Behind that kindness, though, was a quiet strength born from hardship. At just 24, Anna carried more responsibility than most people twice her age. Her younger brother, Liam, was still in high school, and since their father had passed, a decorated veteran who left behind more memories than money, Anna had taken on the role of provider. She worked double shifts, patched up their small house when things broke, and stretched every dollar until it nearly snapped. Yet she never complained. Even when exhaustion tugged at her, she forced her smile to stay, because she knew Liam was watching. He looked up to her, and she refused to let him see defeat. As Anna refilled a customer's glass, she adjusted her shirt ever so slightly, making sure the small, hidden metal pin beneath it didn't slip into view. It was her father's, an honor he'd earned for his bravery. She never told anyone she kept it close to her heart, under her uniform. It was her private reminder of the man who taught her courage, resilience, and dignity. Her co-workers sometimes wondered how she managed to stay so calm under pressure, never losing her patience even with the rudest customers. But Anna knew, her father's voice still lived in her memory, real strength isn't in your fists, Anna. It's in how you carry yourself, even when the world tries to knock you down. That night, as laughter swirled around her and the bar filled with restless energy, Anna had no idea that her hidden strength was about to be tested in a way that would leave the entire room breathless. The door swung open with a creak that seemed to hush the room, if only for a second. Heavy boots stomped against the wooden floor as a group of bikers filed in, leather jackets damp from the cool night air. The neon lights bounced off their metal chains, helmets, and patches stitched proudly across their backs, symbols of a club everyone in town knew well. These were the Rough Riders, a group both respected and feared. They weren't known for small talk or gentle manners. Whenever they rode into town, people instinctively kept their heads low and their distance wide. The bar owner, Jerry, offered a stiff nod from behind the counter, already bracing for the long night ahead. Anna, balancing her tray, caught the shift in atmosphere immediately. The easy laughter from the regulars softened into nervous murmurs. A mother sitting in the corner with her toddler tucked the child's toy closer, as though shielding them from an unseen threat. It wasn't that the riders always caused trouble, but their presence carried a weight, a storm waiting for a spark. The tallest of the group, a broad-shouldered man with a scar across his jaw, dropped into a booth with a thud, his eyes scanning the room before locking onto Anna. His smirk was casual, almost playful, but Anna felt the unease behind it. She straightened her apron and walked over, refusing to let her nerves show. "Evenin'," she said evenly, pen poised over her notepad. "What can I get you all?" The man leaned back, arms crossed. "Start with a round of beers. Coldest you've got." The others chuckled, their voices low and rough like gravel. Anna scribbled quickly and turned toward the bar, her hands steady even though her heart raced faster than before. She could feel their eyes follow her, testing her confidence, waiting for her to falter. But she didn't. She had faced worse storms at home, late bills, broken heaters in winter, nights where she skipped meals so Liam wouldn't have to. Compared to those battles, a table of rowdy bikers wasn't going to break her. Still, Something in her gut told her this night would not end like the others. And she was right. The bar hummed with an uneasy rhythm. Glasses clinked, the jukebox crooned an old country tune, but beneath it all was the low rumble of the Rough Riders' laughter. Their voices carried, sharp and loud, breaking into the pockets of quiet conversation that dared to persist. Anna moved between tables with practiced grace, balancing trays of beer and plates of fries. But each trip back to the biker's booth felt heavier, like walking into a fire. The tall man with the scar, clearly their leader, watched her every move, his eyes gleaming with an unsettling mix of curiosity and mischief. "Hey, sweetheart," one of the younger riders called out as she set down their drinks. "How come a pretty girl like you stuck in a dump like this?" His tone wasn't cruel, but it was laced with mockery, the kind that expected an audience. The group snickered, leaning closer, waiting for her reply. Anna straightened, her voice calm. "Because I've got bills to pay, same as anyone else." Her answer drew a louder laugh, but not unkind. Some of the men nodded, maybe impressed at her sharpness. Still, she could feel their gaze sticking to her like smoke, invasive and heavy. As she turned to walk away, the leader reached out suddenly, brushing his fingers against her arm. "You're bold," he said, his voice deep and steady. "I like that." Anna froze for the briefest moment before stepping back, keeping her composure intact. "I've got other tables to serve," she replied evenly, refusing to give him the satisfaction of rattling her. The room shifted again. Regulars exchanged uneasy glances, their forks pausing halfway to their mouths. Everyone felt the tension, like a string pulled taut, waiting for it to snap. Jerry, the bartender, shot Anna a look, half warning, half apology. He'd seen nights like this spiral out of control before. But Anna only gave a small nod, silently telling him she could handle it. She carried on, her steps firm, but her mind raced. She knew men like this, those who tested boundaries, those who thrived on fear. She wasn't going to let them win. But deep down, she feared something was coming. Something she couldn't quite stop. And before the night was over, that fear would prove true. The night had settled into that uneasy rhythm again, quiet in some corners, raucous in others. But everyone's eyes drifted, sooner or later, to the table of Rough Riders. The bikers drank heavily, their laughter booming, their presence filling the room like a storm cloud no one could ignore. Anna brought over another round of drinks, her shoulders squared, her expression carefully neutral. She placed the glasses on the table without meeting their eyes, ready to walk away when one of the men grabbed her wrist. "Stay a while," he drawled, grinning as the others chuckled. Anna tugged her arm back, firm but calm. "I've got work to do," she said, her voice steady. She turned to leave, but the leader, the tall man with the scar, rose from his seat. He stepped in front of her, blocking her path. The bar fell quiet, the tension suddenly too thick to ignore. "Don't be so cold, darling," he said, reaching toward her shirt as if to adjust the collar. "We just want to see what you're hiding." Before Anna could react, his hand moved too quickly, he gripped the fabric at her shoulder and yanked. The sound of ripping cloth tore through the silence, sharp and shocking. Gasps erupted from the crowd. The jukebox kept playing, but its cheerful tune felt cruelly out of place. Anna staggered back, clutching at the torn fabric. Her face burned, not just with humiliation but with fury. For a split second, time froze, the entire bar staring, breath caught in their throats. But what was revealed beneath her shirt wasn't what anyone expected. Pinned to her undershirt was a faded ribbon and a locket, both hanging delicately against her chest. The locket swung open from the force, revealing a small photograph inside, a young boy with bright eyes and a wide smile. Her son. The biker's smirks faltered. The leader's grin slipped into confusion, then unease. Around them, whispers spread quickly. People understood. She wasn't just a waitress. She was a mother, fighting through long shifts to provide for a child who depended on her. Anna's voice trembled, but her words cut through the stunned silence. You think this is a game? Everything I do, is for him. She clutched the locket to her chest, her chin high despite the tears welling in her eyes. The bar wasn't silent out of fear anymore, it was silent out of respect. And the bikers realized they'd crossed a line they couldn't joke their way back from. The bar seemed frozen for a heartbeat, as though the air itself was holding still. Anna stood clutching her torn shirt and the locket that revealed her most vulnerable truth, a mother's devotion to her child. Her chest rose and fell quickly, but her gaze didn't falter. She stood tall, even in the middle of humiliation, even with half the town staring at her. The leader of the Rough Riders shifted uncomfortably. His cocky grin had evaporated, replaced by something that looked almost like shame. His men glanced at each other, suddenly restless in their seats, as if realizing they had gone too far. The silence that followed wasn't the silence of fear anymore, it was judgment. The whole bar was weighing them against Anna's courage and finding them small. Then it happened. A man at the counter stood, slowly clapping his hands together. Another joined him, then another. Soon the entire bar erupted in applause, not for the bikers, but for Anna. The sound was thunderous, echoing off the walls, wrapping around her like a shield. Jerry, the bar owner, came forward with a jacket in hand. Anna, he said softly, draping it over her shoulders. You've got nothing to be ashamed of. You're stronger than anyone in this room. The bikers, clearly shaken, muttered among themselves. The leader cleared his throat, his voice low. Didn't realize, but his words dissolved under the weight of the crowd's stares. For the first time in a long time, the Rough Riders didn't look powerful. They looked small. Embarrassed. Anna, with trembling hands, adjusted the locket back against her chest. She looked at the leader, her voice calm but firm. If you think strength is about tearing people down, you'll never know real strength. The crowd cheered again, some even shouting her name. The bikers, without another word, shuffled out of the bar, their boots heavy against the floorboards. The roar of their motorcycles soon faded into the night. What remained was something far greater than fear, it was respect. Respect for a woman who had endured humiliation and turned it into dignity. From that night forward, Anna wasn't just a waitress in the eyes of the town. She was a symbol of resilience, of love stronger than intimidation. And in the quiet of her small home later, as she kissed her sleeping son goodnight, she knew she hadn't just protected her pride, she had shown him what real courage looked like.